I would say we finally broke the monopoly of the commission-based business models. So it is now basically a fee-based thing. The driver agency is still not there, even in the Mayatri. Driver's commercial autonomy is still not there in any of the aggregators. These are the two things which Nagara is going to solve. The commercial basis of the trip making is the fare meter, which is regulatory approved. And by the way, it is a permit condition. As a permit holder, any compliance with government regulations is the responsibility of the driver. The aggregator is basically washing his hands away from that. Now, if I can get the best of both worlds, wherein I can get customer discovery both at the doorstep and on the street, and I can fulfill the trip by meter, I'm the most happiest fellow. What Namayatri did within the first 8 weeks, that statistic has been surpassed by 3x times in the last 8 weeks of Nagara. So getting 5,000 drivers is basically 2.5% of the active auto rickshaw population in Bengaluru. The Namayatri created an illusion of driver-led. It is not driver-led now. Okay, Nagara customers can pick a Nagara auto on a Namayatri customer app, and Nagara would have paid a customer discovery fee, which was ONDC determined to Namayatri. That is how interoperability was envisaged. But the delay in that has happened so much because ONDC is, in my view, no disrespect, they are very weak. Especially in mobility, I think Namayatri is basically bossing them around. Namayatri wants to establish its monopoly before it wants to cede territory to other players, which is no point. Now it's like government is marketing for Namayatri, which is a private entity. That is the situation. Harsh truth. ONDC has promised that it is going to basically empower small retailers and small entrepreneurs to participate in the e-commerce world. And drivers are one of the smallest entrepreneur you can find in the mobility field. Imagine a driver spending 100 rupees every day and actually finding the same customer is being discovered on the 4 apps same time. In Metro Mitra, we trusted ONDC ecosystem to work. That did not happen. In Nagara, we still expect ONDC ecosystem to work, but we can't let Nagara also fail like Metro Mitra, and that is the reason Niranjan had to invest in that lightweight app. We have to have customer discovery. No, we can't wait forever waiting for some buyer app to integrate with us. They have realized, like in a sense that where it suits them, we are partners. Where it doesn't suit them, we are contractors. You can't just cede the territory to technologists. You can't cede the entire profession of auto rickshaw to gig workers. That is not the game. Like Niranjan clearly articulated what his vision was. It is to provide space for professional auto drivers to participate in the digital economy. What I said is the paraphrased vision of ONDC.
There was Ola, there was Uber, then there was Namayatri, and now there is Nagara. Yet another app for hailing auto rickshaws in the city. Why do we need another app? This is what I wanted to find out from Satyajit Arikutram, who is a transport expert, and Niranjan, who is running the new Nagara app. He's building it, he's putting it on the ground, he's working with the auto rickshaw drivers. I spoke to them about what is the need for another app and how is this different? What is this trying to solve? And why this might be a completely new plot twist from commission-based models to subscription-based models to running the meter. We are back to running the meter. Will it really happen? Let's find out from these two people. Welcome to the Uru Labs podcast. I am Satya Sankaran. Welcome to the show, both Satya and Niranjan.
Thanks, Satya, for inviting us.
That's it.
So this is, I remember we did the last episode on auto rickshaw and transport, the auto rickshaw, ride hailing, and all of these things have performed over the last how many ever years they have been. And there is a transformation I see. You are personally involved with the earlier avatar of how you were working with unions and Namayatri and those kind of experiments as well. But how has that fared? And now I know we keep chatting on and off. There was Metro Mitra, and now you have something new up your sleeve, which you're working with Niranjan on. So let's start back at where we left off last time, which is what happened from Ola, Uber to Namayatri to where we are today. What is the trajectory you saw?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Satya. In fact, it sets the stage for what we are going to discuss in this session. Like you rightly said, you can take a look at the progression from Ola, Uber to Namayatri as half cup full or a half cup empty. That is the situation we are in. The half portion which is full is essentially, I would say, we finally broke the monopoly of the commission-based business models. So it is now basically a fee-based thing. There is no more opaqueness about commissions, wherein both the customer, especially the drivers, they were always in a quandary as to whether they were earning or losing. So that monopoly has been broken, and the validation of that, I had made a prediction in your podcast a year and a half ago. Everyone will join. Everyone will join soon, and so it has happened. Now Rapido is offering the same fee-based system. So is Uber. So is Ola. But then there is still the empty portion which needs to be filled up. What is that empty portion? So interoperability and the promise of ONDC has not measured up to the expectations which I had perhaps very ambitiously stated in your earlier podcast a year and a half ago. And that is the gap which I'm aiming to fill working with other stakeholders. And Namayatri now is successful in gaining market share. So much successful. Basically, people say there is no differentiation between another aggregators. It has become another aggregator. Okay, so that is the situation. So be that as it may, from the driver perspective, what Namayatri has shown them is it has opened up the possibilities for them. And that possibilities is what is yet unfulfilled, and that is what we hope to fulfill through Nagara. And why I say what those possibilities were, unmet or unfulfilled possibilities were, very simple. The driver agency is still not there, even in Namayatri. And the driver's commercial autonomy is still not there in any of the aggregators. These are the two things which Nagara is going to solve.
I wanted to understand how Nagara will solve that agency problem. Niranjan, what do you think? ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಉತ್ತರ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಡೂ ದ ಸಬ್ ಟೈಟ್ಲಿಂಗ್. ಹೌ ಡು ಯು ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಸಾಲ್ವ್? ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಗರ? ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಆ್ಯಪ್ ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ?
So basically Nagara metered auto. So come from ನಾವು ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನೇನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇತ್ತು, ಓಲಾ, ಊಬರ್, ಲೈಕ್ ಅದ್ರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಗರನ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. ಈಗ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸಿಗೆ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು GPS ಅವರು ಮ್ಯಾನಿಪುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಬರಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ದ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ರೂಲ್ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಮೀಟರ್ ಫೇರ್ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಸಮ್ ಗಿಮಿಕ್ ಪ್ರೈಸಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸರ್ಚ್ ಪ್ರೈಸಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ಗೆ ಆಡ್ ಆನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಆ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರ ಏನಿದೆ ಮೀಟರ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವರ ಅನ್ನಪೂರ್ಣೇಶ್ವರಿ ದೇವಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗೆ, ಮನೆಯ ಅನ್ನಪೂರ್ಣೇಶ್ವರಿ ದೇವಿ ಇದ್ದಾಗೆ, ಅದನ್ನ ನೀವು ಬಳಸಿ ಅದನ್ನ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಗೊಂಬೆ ತರ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಡಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಹತ್ರ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಯಾಕೆ ನೀವು ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಗೆ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಟ್ರಿಪ್ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು ಬಟ್ ಆ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸಿಗಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಹೇಲಿಂಗ್ ಅಥವಾ ರೋಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರು ಕೂಡ ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಅಂತ ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ, ನಾವೇ ಆಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಸ್ ಎವ್ರಿವೇರ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ನೀವು ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ, ನೀವು ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಓಡಿಸ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ 15 years and 20 experience drivers, professional drivers are ready to serve by the meter ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಈ ನಗರ ಮೀಟರ್ ಆಟೋನ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪರೆನ್ಸಿನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೀಟರ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ನ ನಾವು ತರಬೇಕು ಬೈ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ. ಅಂಡ್ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಈಗ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಹೆಸರಿದೆ, ಅವರು ಬಾಯ್ ಬಂದ್ ರೇಟ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಕಡೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಜನರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಎನ್ವೈರನ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತರಬೇಕು ಅಂಡ್ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್ ತರಬೇಕು ನಮ್ಮ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ, ಇಬ್ರು ಸಂಬಂಧ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಗರ ಮೀಟರ್ ಆಟೋ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ.
ಮೀಟರ್ ಇರೋದು ಆಟೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಓಡಿಸೋದವರು. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಗರ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್? ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಅನ್ ಆಪ್? ಏನದು?
ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ದಿಸ್ ಆಪ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ SaaS ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್, ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕವರಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಕೊಡುವಂತದ್ದು. ಸೊ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ 2 ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಆಪ್ ಪ್ಲೇ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಕೂಡ ಪ್ಲೇ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಯೂನಿಕ್, ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ವೆರಿ ಲೈಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನಾವು ಆಪ್ ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಜಸ್ಟ್ 800 KB ಇದೆ. ಗೋ ಟು ಪ್ಲೇ ಸ್ಟೋರ್, ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ದಟ್. 800 KB ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು. ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದನೂ ಕೂಡ ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಅಂಡ್ ಇವನ್ ಟು ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬುಕ್ ಥ್ರೂ ONDC ಬಯರ್ ಅಪ್ಲಿಕೇಶನ್ಸ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲೇ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಮೊಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ಸ್ಆಪ್ ಚಾಟ್ ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಆಟೋನ ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಆ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ತಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಆಪ್ ನ ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಲೊಕೇಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಆಟೋಸ್ ಅವೈಲೇಬಲ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಆ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಕೂಡ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಫ್ ಸೊ 0 ಆಟೋಸ್ ಏನಾರು ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡೋ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಟೈಮ್ ಕೂಡ ಸೇವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಿಯರ್ ಇರೋ ಯಾವ ಆಟೋಸ್ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಡೀಟೇಲ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ತರ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ 3-4 ತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಅಂಡ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ವಿತಿನ್ 700 ಮೀಟರ್ ಯಾರು ಡ್ರೈವರ್ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಅಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಮನೆ ಹತ್ರ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ, OTP ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ, OTP ಅವ್ರು ಆನ್ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಎಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಮೀಟರ್ ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೆಸ್ಟಿನೇಷನ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ನೀವು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಹಿಂದೆ ಏನೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಮೀಟರ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೊಡಿದೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ನೀವು ಪೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆಯ್ತು. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಗರ ನಾಟ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸಿಂಗ್ ದ ಎನಿ ಫೇರ್ಸ್.
The handoff happens between the SaaS provider when the customer enters the OTP. That's it. The commercial basis of the trip making is the fare meter, which is regulatory approved. And by the way, it is a permit condition. You'll be surprised to know the terms and conditions the driver signs up with all the aggregators actually says the onus of complying with all the government permit rules is yours to the drivers. So drivers basically are flouting their own permit rules, and that is the reason why you read in the news every now and then 4 vehicles were seized because they were not operating by the meter. All these things happen because the TNCs have been drafted in such a way as a permit holder. Any compliance with government regulations is the responsibility of the driver. The aggregator is basically washing his hands away from that. So if you are anyway washing your hands away from that, let the permit holder take responsibility for his meter at least, no? Because that is the main permit condition. Your commercial basis between the customer and the driver is the meter. And that is what the permit says to the driver. So the driver says, okay, if that is my condition anyway, I'll operate it because that is my earning, which regardless of all the hickory, jiggery pokery the aggregators do, that's what I end up getting anyway. So that is the whole basis of this. And I think Niranjan also mentioned about how street hailing was a forgotten thing. The another feature of Nagara is it's street hailable, because there is a unique distinctive characteristic of Nagara Metered Auto with a taxi board sign, which clearly says Nagara Metered Auto. So you can identify them on the street, and assuredly you'll know that you don't even have to ask the driver to down the meter, because the expectation is that anybody who has got the taxi board, we will be training them in the coming months. So you will just down the meter, he'll ask for your credentials or your OTP straight away, which you can generate on the go by scanning an application or just by your phone number or saying hi to your WhatsApp. So multiple channels of discovery so that a metered auto rickshaw becomes ubiquitous in Bengaluru, and professionalism returns back to the drivers. So that those are the sort of things which brand Bengaluru wants. You just think of any world class city. Everywhere you got regulated metered auto rickshaw, which gives a sense of reliability not only to residents there, for any tourists who come there. So they clearly know that.
Nowhere in the world, like you said, has there been a free market mechanism for taxis and auto rickshaws? That's a point you made the last time, saying that they are controlled because they are IPT and they are always controlled and they're not necessarily a private vehicle. Why did we have to go back to the meter? And what is wrong with the metering, that whether you're a SaaS or an aggregator, whether you're on commission model or in a subscription fee model, the meter and the pricing is now, people are playing football with that. Now you're bringing it back and saying it's a part of the permit condition, so let's keep it that way. And that is one argument. The aggregators and the providers took it away and said, we will give you surge pricing, this pricing. So there was a temptation of you might earn more.
No, I'll just hold you there to clarify that particular point. The promise of surge and dynamic fares, while these carrots were given to the drivers, okay, the legal implications of such things was always on the driver, not on the aggregators. And that is the reason why you see drivers' autos being impounded every now and then because of heavy fares. And drivers, without realizing, they go and say, hey, ನಾನು ಆಟೋ ಹಿಡಿದ್ಬಿಟ್ರು. Why? And essentially, the corporate lawyers of aggregators say, hey, this is your TNC. You signed up to it. It's your thing. So now drivers have realized, okay, if it is my obligation to follow the permit rule, I jolly well do it and make my earning. Because for me, to migrate from a meter-based system to an aggregator-based system was customer discovery. Now, if I can get the best of both worlds, wherein I can get customer discovery both at the doorstep and on the street, and I can fulfill the trip by meter, I am the most happiest fellow. That is the feedback which the surveys got, and it's born in the numbers. I can tell you what Namayatri did within the first 8 weeks. That statistic has been surpassed by 3x times in the last 8 weeks of Nagara. 15,000 downloads, okay, of which 8,000 were drivers and 6,000 are customers mistakenly downloaded thing, and 5,000 are already onboarded. So getting 5,000 drivers is basically 2.5% of the active auto rickshaw population in Bengaluru. Now, and that's just within the first 8 weeks. So now imagine if people realize, the auto rickshaws realize that, yeah, We have got this meter asset. We are now getting trips both at the doorstep and at the street. What is there to stop them? Why should they just risk their permit, losing the permits, and go with the inscrutable policies of aggregators? So I think the USP is very clear. The drivers want it, customers want it, the city wants it. That's it.
After OTP, you want to ensure out of goodwill that they will down the meter, because that has always been the problem, even in a state. It's not that only the customer discovery part is extra now to help them get to the meter or get to the auto, because people are used to finding their auto or asking them to come. Now, the standard extra things of if you discover a customer or they discover a customer, the auto driver discovers a customer and asks them to come, there is dead miles that needs to be costed for, which is what the aggregator in the electronic pricing adu jaasti kodustige nimge. Yakandre neevu customer tanka hogಬೇಕು, ಅವರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
No, but actually it's a very interesting question you have. Despite those so-called pickup charges and the extra thing they are giving, they have realized that they're actually being paid for less kilometers than the actual kilometers their auto rickshaws has traveled. They're getting an illusion that they're getting paid. At the end of the day, they're just getting what the government fare is. See, if a 9-kilometer journey is given to them as an 8-kilometer trip, that extra 1 kilometer, he doesn't realize. But he always thinks that I got more money because I got pickup. And also one of the things which the drivers themselves said is, we are happy to pick up as long as it's within 800 meters. And by the way, this is something which I realized over the last 6 months. The government's fare calculation of this 30 assumes 20% dead mileage, if you didn't realize that. So the 30 rupees assumes 20% dead mileage for customer discovery already.
So that buffer is already there with them.
Yes, exactly. In the fare calculation, in the fare formula, it is already there.
What is your revenue model idralli? And is it also a subscription based fee? And second thing is, ಹೆಂಗ್ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅವರು ಮೀಟರ್ ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ? Of course you can't, but there is a lot of cancellation everywhere. It is ultimately when you give agency, ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೋ, you have to be living with that.
ಸೊ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಾವು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆಪ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಶನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮರ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಲ್ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಆನ್ಬೋರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ತರ ನೀವು ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೇಕು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋದ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಬೈ ಫೋನ್. ಅಂಡ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಟೂಲ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಅಂಡ್ ಅವರು OTP ಎಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡಾದ್ಮೇಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ನೋಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಜಿಫ್ ಇಮೇಜ್ ಕೂಡ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಚಲಾಯಿಸಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎನ್ಶೋರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೀವಿ, ಡಬಲ್ ಎನ್ಶೋರ್. ಅವ್ರು ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅಂಡ್ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್. ನಾವು ಡ್ರೈವರ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದೀವಿ, ಅವರು ರೆಡಿ ಟು ಪೇ. ಸೊ ಡೈಲಿ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರಿಪ್ಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ 20 to 25 rupees ನಾವು ಡೈಲಿ ತಗೊಳ್ಬಹುದು. ಆರ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗಿವ್ ದ ಪರ್ ರೈಡ್. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಆಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಪರ್ ರೈಡ್ 2.5 rupees or 3 rupees ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಸಮ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ವೀಕ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಥವಾ ಮಂತ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ರೆಡಿ ಪೇ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಫೈನಲಿ ನಾವು ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಒಂದ್ಸರಿ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಥವಾ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿ ಅವರ ಏನ್ ಸಜೆಷನ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ ಅದು ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಫೈನಲ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಾಗ್ತೀವಿ.
And I think Satya, this is the differentiator. This is the half empty, which did not happen in Namayatri. The Namayatri created an illusion of driver-led. It is not driver-led now. Okay, I can give a simple example. We are all familiar with the concept of sweat equity. Any startup based on sweat equity, when it goes and raises cash, whoever has sweated gets equity, isn't it? So in the 91 crores which Namayatri raised, how many drivers got equity? Aren't they employees? Well, Infosys employees get stock options. Why shouldn't drivers get stock options? See, you can't treat them as partners when you want it to, and you can't treat them as separate contractors when you want to. You rode on the sweat of drivers. Is there a driver stock option pool? No. I don't see Uber doing that. I don't see Ola doing that. I don't see Rapido doing that. And I haven't heard Namayatri doing that. If they have done it stealthily for a group of 10 people, that's a different story. But I haven't seen doing that publicly, saying that, okay, drivers are our stakeholders, they are our suppliers, and we are working as a collaborative team, because they are on the both sides, isn't it? Buyer and seller are the same. Namayatri's customer app and Namayatri this app. And even in Nagara, the customer app wouldn't have come if ONDC had played ball and Namayatri has also played ball. Interoperability was there means Nagara customers can pick a Nagara auto on a Namayatri customer app. And Nagara would have paid a customer discovery fee, which was ONDC determined to Namayatri. That is how interoperability was envisaged. But the delay in that has happened so much because ONDC is In my view, no disrespect, they are very weak. Especially in mobility, I think Namayatri is basically bossing them around. Namayatri wants to establish its monopoly before it wants to cede territory to other players, which is no point. Now it's like government is marketing for Namayatri, which is a private entity. That is the situation, harsh truth. But then it's an opportunity too. Like the way we look at this is the drivers are getting more and more aware what's in it for us. We are this common supply across all aggregators. All aggregators are becoming unicorns. Has the livelihood of any driver changed over the last 6 years? Have you seen any of them getting stock option in any of this thing? No. And one of the driver was mentioning the other day, sir, one day trip, 3 apples baratte sir. Ade same customer is searching on 3 apps. So where is the interoperability here? If the customer was able to basically discover all of them in one go, he could choose what he wanted. No, see, Nagara is basically bootstrapped by Niranjan and another colleague of his called Shivanna. They can't get the runway by Silicon Valley investors to go and market and do this stealth marketing to drivers, give that incentives, give that discount, deep discounts to capture the market. They are dependent on an ecosystem which is fair, and ONDC has promised that it is going to basically empower small retailers and small entrepreneurs to participate in the e-commerce world. And drivers are one of the smallest entrepreneur you can find in the mobility field. And in fact, ONDC 60% of transaction is driver-led. The Namayatri trips. That's the reality is. Are they entrepreneurs? That's the question I ask you. Are they having agency now? Drivers.
Oh, the drivers, yeah.
They're not entrepreneurs now.
Today, there's a difference between a customer and an actual partner, or what you call as an aggregator partner. There could be differences in how it is envisioned. Like if you Microsoft employees are probably paid differently and incentivized differently from users of Excel. So if you call yourself a SaaS and you're only providing an Excel as a tool for the customer.
Except in Excel, Mr. Gates or the software doesn't tell me which formula to type. So why are you fixing the fare for the driver then? You're not a true SaaS.
If I were wearing the other hat, I would say it's a feature to get you away from a meter and allow for flexible pricing where you can probably discover. No, it's a different thing that it didn't work out.
But why do you want me to break the existing law, my permit rule, and lose my agency and get into opaqueness?
Fair enough. I'm not denying that. I think including the drivers in a solution would be better. Now let's come to that, right? So think about these two things as if you want to, it was considered an innovation. Let me just say that there was a hard meter which worked. Now with technology, we are trying to say that it's possible to not have the physical meter and have a digital meter with flexible pricing. So the benefits can be translated. Now, as in all cases, what we visualize and what actually happens might be different. Now you have been trying to fix it in different ways. One is to say, go to the SaaS model, don't call it an aggregator, don't do commission basis, get into subscription. And now that kind of has transformed. The other end of the story is when the driver does have agency, how does he respond to these things? Now, everybody is on all the apps. All of us in my house look at all the apps, whichever is the best price, lowest price, we pick it. The driver, on the other hand, takes all of these things and which is the highest price, fixes it. So we arrive at some equilibrium where we are able to figure out at that point in time a price we are able to take. Now with the meter auto, this is going to happen again. Nagara is going to be one of the 5 where we're going to have to choose. What is the incentive for the auto driver now to think of this as, one you're saying is you are being compliant with the law.
Correct.
Now the law itself is being pushed by all of these people and saying, I don't think this meter should exist this way and pricing should exist this way. That you and I have gone over on why we should question that model. Now, if you say driver giving an agency through the driver is going to be getting better, how are we going to solve for the same problems that we have in the others, which is cancellation, not downing the meter? How do you envision that?
Two things. One, the driver gets what we call as income transparency, which was missing till now. Till now, he doesn't know. That is one thing. So that is why he said, there are simple people who say basically, ನನಗೆ ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಣ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಈಗ ನಾನೇ ಮೀಟರ್ ಆಪರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಅದು ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಇದೆ, ಧೈರ್ಯ ಇದೆ. Okay, that is there. And the second thing is professionalism. That is where we are basically reaching out to society to give them soft training skills in anger management, customer centricity. And by the way, none of the aggregators have given any single training like this. and they don't want to also. Because I think, why would you want your stakeholder to become educated? It's easy for them to be lambs, no? 6 crores run rate every month from one city. Yeah, you're sitting on a good revenue model. Why would you want that? Anyway, I do not want to be cynical, and I see all these things as progression towards what I feel has to happen. But our role is to accelerate that process, and that's what I'm trying to do. Drivers themselves innately, in their own wisdom, say that ನಮ್ಗೇನು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಾ. And just imagine a driver spending 100 rupees every day, like you rightly said, 49 rupees to Uber, 25 rupees to Namayatri, 30 rupees to Rapido, 20 rupees to Ola, and actually finding the same customer is being discovered on the 4 apps same time. So they're fed up, in a sense that then we said, okay, ಇದೇ ರೀತಿ ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಶ್ರಮದ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ದುಡಿತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ನಿಮ್ ಶ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹಣ ಬರಬೇಕು, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ನಿಗದಿ ಮಾಡಿದಿರೋ ಹಣ ಬರ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕಿ, and they're ready. That's all is the thing. And by the way, any city, no, metered auto rickshaws are certainty, in a sense that if you're basically it's I would say it's part of the IPT model itself. Okay, because IPTs are never, why do you call it intermediate public transport? They've got features of both public transport and flexible scheduling. Okay, that's the reason why it's not a free market. Okay, if it's free market, I don't even want, I will remove that P in that IPT. This IPT for a reason. So within reason, yes, this is the band the government has fixed, and you operate. And I think in BMTC bus, if I travel at 12 o'clock in the night also, it's the same price at 12 o'clock. Whereas in auto, they get an extra 1.5 between night 10 to 5. So there are subtle features, and these are all there for a reason. So we have, see, I'll tell you, problem is the technology companies are not democratic. They come and push their domain thinking into domains in which they enter and try to completely, muddy the water so much so you will start asking the fundamental questions which we thought were resolved. Regulation was required. Now just look at the situation in India. All these aggregators are licensed under what? Section 93 of MV Act. But then they're governed under what? Their data protection act, under the IT Act. So there are two laws. You can cherry pick what I want to choose, and then there is this catchword that, I want to have sandbox environment, you are throttling innovation, all sorts of things. That is not going to happen. So this is something like a grounds up approach wherein stakeholders have to become proud societal members, and mobility providers are indeed real hard workers, because you know what road rage is. Driving 2 kilometers in a peak hour is such a problematic thing, and that is the reason why Nagara is addressing the fundamental root of the problem. And I think Niranjan Aryade is not targeting to be an unicorn. He wants to make sure that he doesn't go into loss. That's all it is. So and I think that is ONDC's aim: democratize small entrepreneurs like Niranjan, who can get the operational efficiency by actually managing the technology interface on behalf of the drivers, and drivers happily participating in this ecosystem, not worrying about whether they're being gamed on their earnings and the other thing which I failed to mention is, when the driver agency is just not on the commercial side, driver can choose the area in which he wants to operate in the platform today. And if there are trips outside this area, the trip will not even be broadcast to him. That is how we want to resolve cancellation. ನೀವು ಮುಂಚೆನೆ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡಿ ಯಾವ ಏರಿಯಾಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ. If he has chosen in his app, this is my area, and the backend will basically say, in this area, if there is a trip, I'll broadcast you. If it is not, I won't. So chances of cancellation will reduce. That coupled with the professionalism, training and other things, we want to slowly get rid of this.
ನಿರಂಜನ್, ಇದು ನನ್ನ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, ವೈ ಡಿಡ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಚೂಸ್ ONDC ಆಪ್ಗೆ? ONDC ಯಾಕೆ ಬೇಕಿತ್ತು? ವಾಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಅಡ್ವಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ONDC ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್?
ನಾವೀಗ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಎಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿನರ್ ಅಥವಾ ನಾವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಅಂತ ತುಂಬಾ ಏನು ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ONDC ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಬಿಗ್ ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಸೊ ಪೇಟಿಎಂ ಆರ್ ಸ್ವಿಗ್ಗಿ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮದು ಡಿಸ್ಪ್ಲೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಏನ್ ನಗರ ಮೀಟರ್ಡ್ ಆಟೋನ ಬುಕ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇದರಿಂದ ನಮಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನ್ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಿದೆ, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕವರಿ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಷ್ಟನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು, ಅಂಡ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರದ್ದಾಗ್ಲಿ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಬೀಳಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅಂಡ್ ಇದು ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಈ ತರದ್ದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗೋ ತರ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಡಿಸ್ಕವರಿ ಆಫ್ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಚಾನಲ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಬಯರ್ ಆಪ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ONDC ಇಸ್ ಗುಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮೀ.
In terms of getting support from ONDC, how do you see ಅವ್ರ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಈಗ ONDC ನಾವು ಸ್ಟೇಜಿಂಗ್ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಅದಾದ ತಕ್ಷಣ 1 or 2-3 ವೀಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಅದೇನ್ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮೊಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡೋರು ಇದಾರೆ ONDC ಫ್ರಮ್ ಇದರಿಂದ. ಅಂಡ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಟೀಮ್ ಕೂಡ ಅದನ್ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾವ ತರ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಜಾಸ್ತಿನ ಟೈಮ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಬೇಗ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು.
But where do you see the future of ONDC in mobility, Satyajit, in terms of how, of course, there's a lot to be done in that area, and at least they are willing to onboard people like Niranjan and the other guys who we were talking about.
Correct. I think ONDC should start speaking to people not beyond Namayatri and the small cohort of people with whom they are engaging. They have to start talking to Niranjan. They have to start giving technical assistance to Niranjan, marketing assistance to Niranjan, so that there are many other towns which will come up. And I don't see that happening on a policy basis. And I still think it's a very close-knit team wherein they find comfort with people whom they trust. And I think they have to widen their circle and also speak to people in the domain, like you yourself, to policymakers. And again, they can't be picking and choosing and then basically trying to select. Today, when Namayatri claims to be part of ONDC network, I laugh. Well, your network is made of at least 2 players. I don't even see interoperability between. So, well, be that as it may, I think, ONDC at the end of the day is an initiative which is promoted by Ministry of Commerce. And I believe in leading the agenda by articulating what I feel should happen rather than wait for someone to do or to complain why it's not happening. Okay. So, regardless of whether we get help or not, the vision of interoperability and visibility, customer discovery across different applications, that is going to happen. Regardless of, I may as well create another network called OMINI, Open Mobility Network of India. That doesn't matter. It's just a stack, just a set of standards, isn't it? We just need to push forward and make sure that the POCs are developed. And today we are in an ideal position. You earlier asked the question about Metro Mitra. Metro Mitra, in my view, failed because ONDC was not yet ready. Metro Mitra trips could have been easily shown on Namayatri's customer app. No, anyway, the promoters of Metro Mitra were Namayatri's co-creators. We could have created another node of a driver-led entrepreneurial thing called Metro Mitra to solve last-mile connectivity, wherein customer discovery was taken away from them because Namayatri's base was big. That's a missed opportunity. We were begging to do that. Nobody listened to that. But then that's a disappointment. But then from there we have moved on to Nagara. This is very interesting. Why? Because in Metro Mitra we trusted ONDC ecosystem to work. That did not happen. That failed. In Nagara we still expect ONDC ecosystem to work. But we can't let Nagara also fail like Metro Mitra. And that is the reason Niranjan had to invest in that lightweight app. We have to have customer discovery, no? We can't wait forever waiting for some buyer app to integrate with us.
Let's address the chaos at the auto driver's end. Each individual, we are expecting them to have agency and they do. They want to run where they want to run. They want to run when they want to run, and they want to have the choice to refuse to do something. I just want to rest. I don't want to ride. Most of us want the guarantee and expect them to service us and not have cancellations, not have refusals and all of those things. But with agency comes all of those issues also. You should expect them to behave in a certain way.
I'll ask you a simple question, Satya. Like any employee, he goes to the organization, he gets sort of a simple 4 hours on etiquette of their corporate culture. What are their ethos and other things. What investment has either the government or the corporate sector done on this driver's return? Zero. And I think it's not that, again, we are bound to sort of exaggerate the amount of this sort of behavior more than what it is. Because newspapers tend to cover only bad stories. You never hear good stories of auto drivers. No? You just pick up, that auto driver misbehaved, he beat up a Rapido driver. That will be headlines. But an auto driver going honestly and giving something to the police station, some customer left over, that will be leftover news on page 8, if at all. So, but there are many stories. If you go to the subterranean of social media, wherein auto driver communities are there, you will hear these stories every day. And I think Niranjan gets audio calls, so happy audio calls about ಸರ್ ಇವತ್ತು ನನಗೆ ಮೀಟರ್ ಟ್ರಿಪ್ ಸಿಕ್ಬಿಡ್ತು, ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯ್ತು, ಡ್ರೈವರ್ ಈ ತರ ಮೀಟರ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅಂತ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಖುಷಿ ಪಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕಾಫಿ ಕೊಡ್ಸೋದ್ರು ಸರ್. ಸೊ ವೇರ್ ಆರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್? ವಿ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್, ಇಸ್ ಇಟ್?
ಮೀಟರ್ ಊಟ ಕೊಡ್ಸೋದು ಆ ಲೆವೆಲ್
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಶ್ಚರ್ಯ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಈ ತರನು ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೀವ ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ.
ನಮ್ ಮೀಟರ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ನಾವು,
ಅದು ಆತರ. So again, that's an interesting thing, Satya. That is something which Niranjan and team have really worked on. They are not onboarding drivers without meter certificates. And by the way, the customer can view the meter certificate. He can view the meter certificate directly. So, and I think he can give directly complaints on his own web page. Drivers, peer-to-peer thing. So this is a ground-up, real reformative thing, while digitally empowering drivers and addressing their pain points in the current ecosystem.
Fair enough. Last time I remember Patabi or Rudramurthy, one of them saying, yeah, sir, namge yaanu helkottilla. There are lots of new auto rickshaws being procured. ನಮ್ ಜೊತೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋರು ಯಾರಿಲ್ಲ, ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡೋದು ಏನಿಲ್ಲ, ಸುಮ್ನೆ ಯಾರೋ ಲೈಸೆನ್ಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡೋದು, ಗಾಡಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇ ಅಂತ ಓಡಿಸೋದು. ಸೊ ದೇ ರಿಯಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಆಫ್ people spending time with them, giving them support on how to behave with customers. We all get soft skills training when we join companies, when you're an intern. You spend years on the job before you're put in front of a customer. These guys take the auto license, the next day they are in. They've not even seen customers. They've come from a village. They've just got a job. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇ ಅಂತ ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಏನು ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ. ಅಂಡ್ ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ನೋ ಹೌ ಟು ಡೂ ಆಂಗರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ನೀವು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಿ, ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟಿವ್? ಬಿಕಾಸ್ soft skills are very hard. It comes with maturity, wisdom. A lot of people are young drivers who've taken this up, and they are facing customer abuses, language issues. They have to also fight for their livelihood with other innovations that are happening. In Milio, what do they go through?
I think the anger management is very interesting, Satya. You asked me this question. See, we are trying to resolve it in a very innovative way, wherein it sticks to them. They get that self-awareness from within as to why they're doing it. And I think we've started this interesting series called Bengaluru Auto Rickshaw Driver Stories, BARD Stories. You might have noticed auto rickshaw drivers behind, they write some very witty quotes about something. So we basically started interviewing them. And I'll just give a simple example of one of the driver. We had written simply called Hatavadi. Okay. And I think for me, without the conversation with him, I would have thought, this driver must be a really angry fellow, arrogant fellow who wouldn't talk to them. But then I talked to him. Yakappa idu Hatavadi yatakke, why did you write this? What was your inspiration? He said, sir, in my life, I've achieved whatever I want to. I'm very, very determined in what I want to get. And that's why I wrote. That actually softened me. Hey, this fellow is resilient. He is a go-getter. Whereas my previous expectation of Hatavadi was, this fellow is like a road maniac. He wants to hog the road with his one lane. So, and I think by sharing such stories amongst their own groups, different things, there is an amount of, ಹೌದು ಅವ್ನು ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ. So there are real life stories out there which are relatable to them. And then we tell them, anger at the end of the day is expending your own energy. Why do you want to lose it? And I think we are trying to get influencers to whom they respond. Previously, we had Shankar Nag. If Shankar Nag said something that was possible for them 30 years ago, there are. And I think there are heroes within their own community. We really want to, again, this is not a done deal, Satya. It's work in progress. But unlike the manic rush of scale and all these jargons about tech companies which use, we want to be that, by this, where this, those pressures, if you keep away, you know what your priorities are. And I don't want those priorities to sort of give an hogwash story, put a shawl around some drivers once in a while and felicitate them or whatever. Whereas you and me every day realize this is the same old shit. We are not getting the drivers. They are arrogant. There is cancellation. So we don't want that. So this is, what's a social entrepreneurship. That's what I call this entire thing as.
ನಿರಂಜನ್, ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಎಂಟರ್ಪ್ರಿನರ್ಶಿಪ್? ಇವರು ಲೈವ್ಲಿಹುಡ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಹುಚ್ಚು? Why do you want to do this? Sometime, let's say this goes to ಇದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲೇನೋ ಒಂದು 10 ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ, don't you think it should scale ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಇದು ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ವಾ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ?
ನಾಟ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಸರ್. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ, ನಾನು ಕೂಡ 6 years ಇಂದ ಈ ಫೀಲ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಮೊಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೇಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲೇ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ವಿ ಲೈವ್ಲಿಹುಡ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಅದು ಯಾವ ತರ ಕಷ್ಟ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಅಗ್ರಿಗೇಟರ್ ಸೊ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಬಂದು ಯಾವ ತರ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಬಳಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ದುಡ್ಡು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಷ್ಟು ದುಡ್ಡು ಮಾಡಿ ನೆಮ್ಮದಿ ಕಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಲೈವ್ಲಿಹುಡ್ ಬೇಕೋ ಅಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ ಅಂತ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸರ್. ಸೊ ಹೇಗೆ ಮನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಲೈಕ್ ಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ತರ. ಸೊ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಉಪ್ಪು ತಿಂದ್ರು BP ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಕಮ್ಮಿ ತಿಂದ್ರೆ ಲೋ BP ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಮೀಡಿಯಂ ಇದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಅಂಡ್ ನಾವು ಹಳ್ಳಿಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದಿರೋದು, ಸೊ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕು ಅಷ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು ಸರ್. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಮ ಟೆಕ್ ಟೀಮ್ಗೆ ಅಂಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಪಾರ್ಟೀಸ್ API ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್, ಅಂಡ್ ನಾವು ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಪವರ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸರ್ವೈವ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಅಂಡ್ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಲೈಕ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, CSR ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಂಡ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಈಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ ಅವರು ಫುಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಎಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೋ ತಿನ್ನೋದು ಈ ತರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಮ್ದು ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್ ಇದೆ. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 3 to 4 ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಫುಡ್ ಹಿಂಗ್ ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಹೆಲ್ತಿ ಫುಡ್ ಈ ತರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. ಸೊ ಸ್ಕೇಲ್ ಅಪ್ ಮಾಡಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ನಾನು ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕು ಖರ್ಚಿಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟಾದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು ಅಂತ ಇದೆ.
ಸೊ ಮಂಡ್ಯದಿಂದ ನಗರಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಹೊಸ ಆಪ್ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. But Satyaj, is concluding thoughts from you. Now the thing is, we understand Nagara is looking at metered and it's going to do what it can in a very different way. Let's put it that way, because I can understand where you're coming from on the insistence on meter and following the regulations that are existing, while I can also understand the other side of how they want to push and break what is today to see what is possible tomorrow. Now, what is possible tomorrow, we may not like it today. It may, like you're saying, just to summarize that thought of, it is infringing on. It has worked out badly is something I can admit.
Yeah.
While they claim that they were trying to break the way it was done so that we can see if they can earn more and the market is supposed to get more, some of them, because of their cost structures and all those things, started having more and more of their own thing. And of course, the multiplicity of apps is also there, Ivaga. And ONDC needs to step up and see how do we provide this buyer side integration. So tell me this landscape now. Where do you see this going? Idadmeleno, id heng succeed agate. What is your ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಮ್ ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ SaaS ಮಾಡಲ್ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದಿದ್ದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇವಾಗ ನಿಮ್ ಬಾಯಿಂದ ಏನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡೋಣ, ಅದನ್ನ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾಡ್ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
Definitely, I think I'm sure what I am going to say now is going to happen, regardless of whether it is me trying to drive it from my side or somebody else. Okay, that's for going to happen. See, I'll tell you, this culture of meter, I was quite surprised by the survey results which Niranjan produced. I thought the drivers would say, "Yak sir, meter beku. Anyway, we are getting money from aggregators." But then I realized, I think they had some bitter experience about some of the autos getting impounded, and then aggregators trying to pass it on to them. This is your duty. That obligation lies with us. They've realized, like in a sense that where it suits them, we are partners. Where it doesn't suit them, we are contractors. That thing, that dichotomy was very clear to them. That's one thing. And I'll tell you a very clear analogy. If we do not intervene with this metered autos, our regulation will completely collapse. And I'll tell you how an analogy here. In 2013, London had 23,200 black taxi permits, black taxis operating. Okay. In 10 years, since Uber came in and others came now, it has reduced to just 13,000. 10,000 black taxis have gone out of livelihood. The reason is, in London, just like in India, the regulations are there for black taxis. Whereas for Ubers and others, it's completely sort of a quasi-regulated sort of thing. Better regulated than India, but quasi-regulated. And they've got complete commercial freedom, surge, dynamic, everything. And also the profile of Uber drivers in London is not livelihood. They are basically gig workers, in a sense that I'll be working in the office, I got a spare car, so you may as well get a Merc in an Uber ride in London, because it's his own car, he does it as a gig economy, something like that. So Uber were able to get the market share from black taxis because less regulation, and the supply was sort of not entirely dependent only on that revenue. Okay, that's the reason why. And in fact, London, as we speak, is grappling, how do we save our black taxi? How do we make level playing field for black taxis along with so-called private hire vehicles? That is where London is. Okay, so now India, what happened is Uber came in, they realized the meter fares are actually reasonable, but how do we make them come? So they said they deep discounted customers, and then they gave incentives to drivers, made us addict to that, made everybody forget the meters because regulation is lax. In London, a black taxi person can't say, I will not operate the meter. That's not even a question. Whereas here, the transport department is sleeping on the wheel. So what these guys are doing, youngsters like Niranjan, is actually doing what the job of a regulator should be, protecting his own regulations. And I think the drivers have realized in the long term, it is government regulations and government statutes which protect their livelihood rather than the promises or random incentives of private. Because at the end of the day, Rapido today is buying electric rickshaws, second-hand electric autos everywhere, and then trying to get gig workers. Now you see college drivers doing bikes. If we allow this, no, college drivers will do auto rickshaws also. Then what is the point of all these things? Are we going into sort of an Swiggy economy wherein everything is just transactional? Isn't an auto driver a good profession for them to feel proud about? Do 20 years of service?
Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, that's
I don't know. I don't know. But what I'm saying is the space for that should be protected. If it is not protected, the existing stakeholders should demand that. You can't just cede the territory to technologists. You can't cede the entire profession of auto rickshaw to gig workers. That is not the game.
Maybe there is space for both.
I'm not a soothsayer. What I'm saying is if somebody, says, for instance, a Rapido bike fellow, maybe a third year BE student. I know that fellow is going to do it for 2 years and that's it.
Yeah.
It's a transactional thing. Okay. But if I ride in an auto, a 15-year-old fellow is a second PUC failed who came from Asan or Mandya, started with an Badige Gadi, and now he somehow managed to get his own vehicle about 6 years ago. And just about 2 years ago, he might have fulfilled his EMI and is happily doing his job. I can see that. So, to each their own. But regulation can't be partial to everybody. In the sense that how can auto fares and taxi fares be flouted with impunity with aggregators giving sworn affidavits in high courts? So where is the rule of law here? There is policy paralysis, there is breakdown of rule of law, and there is basically completely erosion of trust in regulations today. That is where we are.
There was a survey done by, I think, the Nama Bengaluru Foundation guys on auto drivers and on licenses and driving rules. The auto drivers who are driving, the old livelihood auto drivers who've been driving for long, new rules more than all the young guys who came in and worked as a gig and everything else. So ಇವಾಗ ಡ್ರೈವಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲೂ ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಟಿ, ಕಾಸು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ಲೈಸೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ರೋಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟ ಓಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ, ಹೆಂಗಿಂದ ರೈಟ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಏನೂ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಡೌನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್. ನಾಟ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ದಿಸ್, from issuing licenses to be able to control all these things, right?
Correct.
On one hand, I am completely in favor of discovering new models. If it doesn't work out and it collapses, it should collapse on its own. If Ola and Uber's business model commission-based has been disrupted by Nammayatri, Nagara might be the one that disrupts that model and we should provide that opportunity.
No. We are not trying to say we are going to disrupt them, I'm going to take their market share. Nothing of that sort. Like Niranjan clearly articulated what his vision was. It is to provide space for professional auto drivers to participate in the digital economy. What I said is the paraphrased vision of ONDC. In ONDC today, mobility space is supposedly fulfilled by Nammayatri, but I don't think so. It's an aggregate. We need more and more Niranjans across 544 districts of India to be small operators, making small digital cooperatives amongst the drivers out there and running this transparently, whereas discovery happens through multiple channels. That is technologically possible today.
Correct. Tell me about the digital cooperative. ನಿರಂಜನ್, ನೀವ್ ಹೇಳಿ, ಇವಾಗ ಆಟೋ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸಿನ ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಡೌನ್ ದ ಮೀಟರ್, ಅವ್ರು ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಅವ್ರು ಓಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕು. ನಾವು ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಸೇ ನಾನು ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕವರಿ ನಗರದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಬಟ್ ಮೀಟರ್ ಡೌನ್ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಐ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಅನ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್. ಕಂಪ್ಲೇಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಕಮ್ ಇನ್. ಬಟ್ ಸತ್ಯಜಿತ್ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಲಾಟ್ ಆಫ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದೆಮ್ ಟು ಫೀಲ್ ರೆಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸಿಬಲ್. ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಮಿಂದ ಸಾಧ್ಯನಾ, ಆರ್ ಆರ್ ಯು ಟ್ರೈಂಗ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಇಟ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ವೇರ್? ಹೆಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀರ ಅದನ್ನ?
ಸರ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಈಗ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾ ಸರ್ವೆ ಮಾಡಿದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ 3 ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಆಟೋ ರಿಕ್ಷಾ ರನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಹತ್ತತ್ರ 2 ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆನ್ಲೈನ್ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಇನ್ನು 1.5 ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಟ್ರಿಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಮೆಟ್ರೋ ಅಂಡ್ ಬಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಈ ತರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತದ್ದು. ಈ 2 ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ನಾವು ಟಾರ್ಗೆಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಆ 2 ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸೊ ನಮಗೆ ಹತ್ತತ್ರ ನಿಯರ್ಲಿ ಆದ್ರೂ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ 30 to 40,000 ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ ಸಿಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಆ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ಸ್ ಆಪ್ ಡೌನ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಇದು ಒಂದೇ ಉದ್ದೇಶ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನಾವು ಸ್ವಾವಲಂಬಿಯಾಗಿ ಬದುಕೋಣ ಸ್ವತಂತ್ರವಾಗಿ. ಅವನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋ ರೇಟ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನಾವು ಹೋಗೋದು ಬೇಡ. ಮೀಟರ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಸಾಕು. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಮೀಟರ್ ಓಡಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಬರೋರೇ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರು ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ 100 ಅಲ್ಲಿ 1 or 2% ಅಕಸ್ಮಾತ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ರಾಂಗ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಆಪ್ ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ತರನ ಆಪ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತ್ರ ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕಲ್ಲ. ಈ 98 ಪೀಪಲ್ ನಮ್ಮ ನಗರ ಪ್ಲಾಟ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋರು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಮೀಟರ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ.
I hope I would wish you good luck. But Satyajit, again, digital cooperative unionizing, or what you're calling as a digital or a cooperative, or bringing them together with each of them having their agency. It's proven to be a big task even for their own unions. There's a lot of splinters. There are people who are not there. Is it even required?
No.
How
When
do
I
you
say-
envision this?
Correct. When I say digital cooperative, no, it is not they participate in a day-to-day management decisions or something like that. It's the transparency of operation, and the software features were determined by drivers. And now Niranjan is not going to impose what driver feature should be in the driver app without the driver cohort. And that is not just hand-picked SAs. There are real diversity of drivers. If there is a real requirement for any change, version change in the app, driver app, that will happen. Niranjan is not going to willy-nilly try to game them, saying that this feature a feature. That is what I meant by digital cooperative. It is cooperation. See, today, for a non-domain technical guy, you can be drowned by jargons. You may look like a rabbit caught in front of or a deer caught in front of headlights in any of these technology meetings. Okay. Those guys will basically see you will feel coming out of the meeting like, okay, did I understand anything? But then if you sit back and say, what exactly are we trying to solve? It's a simple thing. We were living happily even before 2015 without the Uber, Olas, without this application. These guys have come. All these jargons have to do something. Okay? So if you unbundle all this jargon now, what we are trying to solve here is a discovery problem, customer discovery problem. Basically making efficiency between supply and demand. Okay. In doing that, in solving that problem, are you usurping or appropriating profits from the real workers, the drivers, and also from the payers, customers, by confusing them with surge, dynamic, and all sorts of things? That's all is the question. And I think there are different ways to solve it. For us, transparency is the best way, because sunshine is the best medicine.
On that note, thank you both for coming on the show and clarifying this. I wish Nagara all the luck.
Thank you.
I'll keep in touch anyway. Me and Satyajit spar over this every other time. There will be many conversations on how this is going, and he gives me a lot of knowledge and a different perspective, and it is important for me because I can understand both sides.
My prediction for this thing is, I think I'm very confident Niranjan and many Niranjans will come across the country in the next 2 years, and there will be space for regulatory thing. And I'll tell you before why regulatory systems are important, metered autos are important. If there were no metered autos, trust me, the lawyers of these aggregators in the High Court will say, there is anywhere nobody is using meters, why do we require meters? And the transport lawyer will not even be attending that thing. And High Court may say, GPS is enough, meter is not required. So the entire population will lose just because nobody uses meters. Okay, we don't want to get into such a situation. We have got a well-defined ecosystem wherein meters were there, providing transparency for both customers and the drivers. And yes, people were telling, or meter akalla, or meter na tamper ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. Everything is there. Even that accusation can be made of GPS also. That is not the point here. We want a semblance of regulation, a certainty, so that people live their private vehicles and have dependency on IPT and PT stitching together great multimodal journeys. That's the vision. And I think tech cannot solve it. Tech can enable it, because the ecosystem is something which is non-tech. Ecosystem is about fairness amongst all participants. And what is that fairness for all participants? Till now, drivers were the harassed lot, but not any further, because now they've got commercial freedom and digital discovery through Nagara. That's the thing.
It's wonderful to have you pushing that. I think we need more people like you guys to at least show the way on balance, what they call fair and balanced. maybe that will come through.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, we'll keep pushing the envelope, Satya. That much I can assure.